Well, hello and good morning and welcome. Oftentimes, one of the biggest frustrations I hear from quilters is I know how to quilt. I just don't know what to quilt on this. So do me a favor, does that sound like you? Is that something like sometimes you run across quilts or maybe all of your quilts that you're like, I'm really not sure what I'm going to put on this. So in a minute, I'm going to tell you I'm giving away a free week inside the Creative Design Society. So stay tuned. I'm going to give you that link. And actually, the link is in this description. So you should have it there. Anyway, inside the society, I do something called Design Decision Dilemmas. So this is me simply showing you on quilts that members send to me how I would go about quilting on it. Like, what do I look at? What do I focus on? How am I narrowing down my choices? So if you have struggled or you do struggle with what to quilt on your tops, I'm going to tell you, you are not alone. We get very specific instructions when we piece together a quilt. We're going to pick out our fabrics, light, medium, darks, whatever. We're going to cut, we're going to sew, we're going to press, we're going to assemble. And then when it comes time to the quilting decision, you are completely left on your own, which is crazy. So this is the part that I personally love the most. So anyway, these design decision dilemmas are just short videos, anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, depending upon the quilt. It's not a class, and I'm not giving you a step-by-step system. It's just me showing you on that particular quilt how I go about making my decisions. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a mini version of this so you can see how watching sometimes decisions being made can help you in making your quilting decisions, hopefully making them a little easier. So let's take a look at the quilt. And let me change my view here. Gotta love it. And if you're just joining me, please leave in the comments where you're joining me from. So Brenda, hello. I know you're in the town next to me. I love it. Okay, so here's the quilt we're going to be talking about today. And this was given to me by one of the members, Francis, and I love this quilt. It was a quilt that I did as a design decision dilemma a while ago. But a lot of people would look at this and be like, what am I going to quilt on this? So leave it in the comments. Would you look at this and say, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I would quilt on this particular top, right? So hello to Paula from Alabama and Vanessa from England. Welcome and thanks for joining me. So when I look at this particular quilt, I look and I'm like, oh my gosh, there are so many different options that we can go with. But what I like to look at first is the center of the quilt. So I'm just going to kind of zoom in here on the center. And I'm looking at this part here and this part here. Whenever I see a quilt, I do try to figure out whether or not I can make some sort of central design, right? And so not all of the time, it doesn't always work, that's for sure, but that's what I'm actually looking for. So just get rid of those. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look specifically here in this center area, and I'm going to show you a couple different things. If you are looking to just get it done, I don't want to spend a ton of time on this. I just want to get this done. One of the designs that would look really kind of cool would be to come in and do Now also a lot of times you can just do an all over design and that would look really good as well. So we could do something like that. I don't love that my pen is quite so dense. Let's see if I can change that. Sorry about that. Let's see if I can use this one. All right, we'll go with that one. All right, so again, we're going to put our center in, and if you like rulers, you can use a nice arc and do something very simple like that. I personally would, if I was going for simple and not heavy quilting, I would then do that same thing in all of those areas. You can zhuzh it up a little bit if you want, right? So if you're a feather girl like I am, you can come in and you can then put feathers in here. And that would look really pretty. I would probably come in and stitch in the ditch around all of my stuff here. I'm a big stitch in the ditch girl when you do custom work. So we've got this area here that we need to figure out what we're going to put in there. And I'm thinking it'd be kind of cool. We could do a circle, but when I do the circle, I'm actually not going to go through the piecing. I want it to look like it's actually going behind the piecing, and then I'm going to echo that because I love to echo it. That didn't work all that great, but I think you guys get the picture. Then we can decide what we want to actually do with that circle. And for me, I'm going to go with some feathers. I would kind of stop when I get there. And go all the way around. Right? So you could do something like that. You could also, if you wanted to, really fill up your area. So if we wanted to come all the way out to there, we can come out and really shape those feathers to fill in that entire area. Oops. So you could do something like that. And then in here, we could do some really cool, oops, my pen, curved cross hatching in the center there. So I feel like that would be something where, you know, you're not quilting too densely, but you are filling up your spaces. So then when it came, if this was the design I was doing, I would then also look at our star here and how can we best quilt that. So this might look really cool if you cross hatch it. It would also kind of be something like that. Of course, that's already stitched in the ditch. And your piecing makes it easy. So it's a kind of a diamond cross hatch. So I would use the piecing. So, oh, I'm gonna have to change my pen again. So we're just gonna have to go with the larger size so you guys can see it, right? So we've got something like that. I don't like that pen, sorry. Going back. Don't like it. All right. So that would be really, I think, very cool. Now, if for some reason you were like, I want to go to town on this quilt, because this quilt is definitely a kind of go to town kind of quilt. If I could find a true middle, so I'm going to say that this, okay, this is the true middle. Okay, so I'm looking at that saying, how can I create some sort of central focal kind of design. So what I'm going to do, and we'll see if it actually works because I have not pre-planned, I'm wondering if we create a large enough circle. Now I don't want the circle to go through the piecing, so it would be starting and stopping, but what I'm looking for, that's going to be as close as I can kind of get it in the center. So then I'm going to come in and I'm just going to get rid of it. I don't want it to go through the piecing. So it's going to be like a partial circle. So you're only going to see it in specific places. If you guys have questions as I'm going along, just pop them down into the comments and I can answer those for you. Now, a lot of people say, how am I doing those big circles? You can make a big compass if you want. I have, if you're part of the Design Society, there are instructions on how to do those large circles. But Renee Hadidin also has a great tool called Renee's Rays, and then you can find that at Quilts on the Corner. So definitely check those out. So I do like the circle in the center here as well. So let's put that in. And then I think let's kind of concentrate on that center area. I'm thinking that would be kind of cool. Something like that. And I think there'll be enough room to actually echo without going over those pieces. I think it's just the fact that this pen is rather large. So if we do something like that, then I'm looking at, let's see, what if we did, really struggling with my pen today. I don't like that. Thinking another circle in there. And so it's kind of just playing around until you find some stuff that you're like, oh, I like how that looks. Let's see. So right now what I'm looking at is these areas here, 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 and here, to try and figure out like what I might want to put in there. And can I, let's see, because I'm thinking, what if I pull, I don't know if that's gonna work. Might work. And so then, hold on, I'm just going to put this on another layer just so I can pull it out in case it doesn't work the way I want it to work. Okay. One of the things I do like to do is I like to repeat things in the quilt. I think it helps make it a little bit more cohesive. I don't know if I like that. guys are quiet. No questions? Now, I am not good at quilting through the piecing. It's just something that I particularly don't like to do. But that doesn't mean that you can't quilt right through the piecing. So when I look at this, like overall, I like the design, but what I'm feeling, and I'm trying to figure out if it's the actual density of the pen that I'm using, or if it's actually the design. It's not highlighting my stars the way I want to. So I'm gonna start over. I'm gonna start over because I want it to really kind of highlight those stars, right? So what if we, I'm trying to think. I think the original one. No, okay. So what if we actually, I don't like this at all. And a lot of people are like, oh, Lisa, you do a lot of starts and stops. I kind of do. And where I can, I'm actually going to stitch in the ditch to get to my next area. I don't love that either. So let's go. So I spend a lot of time figuring out what I'm going to do on my quilt before I even load it. And that definitely works much better for me than loading it and then standing and staring at it. I did that for years. But anyway, so there are over 200 of these videos inside of the Design Academy. I just popped up onto the screen the link. It's not a clickable link, unfortunately, but it is there for you. That is the sign up for the free week, which starts on the 14th and goes to the 21st. There's no kind of scamminess going on. I'm not asking for any credit card information, nothing. It is a completely free week for you guys to dive in and see what all is going on. And I'm glad, Vanessa, that you're just enjoying watching my process. All right, so I love those lines. And I'm a big texturizing person, so if I were quilting this to death, I'm going to come in and I most likely will fill these two areas with, it could be ribbon candy, it could be pebbling, it could be like a small stipple, but that's what I'm going to do there. Now I'm looking at this area, and I do think that original design that we had put in would act, I don't know why my pen is being really funny today. There we go. Oh my goodness. I love tech when it works. I love tech when it works. But when it doesn't, it is terrible. All right. So that would be a circle there. And I kind of like that because it lets the stars be the stars. And I am thinking that it is just the fact that the pen is so dark. And that's what's kind of throwing me completely off. Because in reality, the color that I'm using is going to be like a dark tan. So it would blend a lot more, right, than that black. Not that that's the color either. But anyway, kind of, I think you get the gist. So again, like the first thing that I am looking at is, can I create a central focal point? And sometimes the answer is no. And if I can't, what am I trying to highlight in the quilt? Those are the two things, those are the first questions that I ask. And then I kind of proceed, right? If I'm doing customer quilts, and that's not what I wanted. If I'm doing customer quilts, which I did for years, the first thing I'm thinking of is, what budget did they give me? Because I certainly don't want to quilt a whole bunch for a whole little. So again, like when you're doing it for customers, you have to kind of balance their budget with what's going to look best on the quilt. All of that being said, a lot of times, and I'd say 90%, you could get away with putting an all over design on almost all quilts. I say almost, but yes, a lot of those quilts can get, like the quilt that I just showed you would look beautiful with an all over design. Of course, it's going to look amazing with some great custom quilting, but anyway, so I hope you kind of enjoyed my thought process. I hope you guys gained a little bit of something from it. There's no real complicated plan. I'm really not trying to second guess every inch. I just try to get a clear direction. So that's what the design decision dilemmas are inside of the Creative Design Society. You can watch over 200 videos, yay, of me making those decisions, right? How am I making them? Because once you start seeing decisions being made, a lot of times I think we're stuck because we don't trust our own decision making. So again, for Galentine's Day, which is Friday, Saturday. Oh, I'm a day ahead. The Society is open for a free week from the 14th to the 21st. So if the quilting process is what slows you down, the Society is a great way to kind of jump in, see everything that's in it, and see if it's right for you. So I know for me personally, I was stuck in a rut for quite a while, and the sew-ins that we have weekly, we do them 3 times a week. Those have really helped because it's just like sitting in your own sewing room and gabbing with the girls as you do your project. So yes, so I hope you join me again. Galentine's Day, love to have you. And then Denise, can you have a focal point starting in a corner instead of a center? Oh my gosh, that's a fabulous question. And the answer to that is a huge yes. So I've done quilts where the piecing is kind of heavy in one corner. And so really then that pretty much is your focal point, right? So you're going to start there and kind of work your way through the quilt, going kind of down if it's up here. But yes, you can definitely have a focal point that is not in the center. Symmetrical quilts, so the quilt that I just showed you, you certainly can try and make your focal point, you know, up in a corner or not in the center. I typically don't on symmetrical quilts because I think just in general, like your eye just wants to go to the center of those kind of quilts. So